Am I the idiot for moving after winning full custody of my sons? My wife and I got a divorce last year. Our relationship failed after she was charged with felony credit card fraud and ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge. She had been a stay-at-home mom to our 2 sons, 5 and 3, and had taken credit cards out in my mom's name to pay for God knows what. She shattered my trust. I work full-time and make a decent living, but nothing extravagant. I had no clue what my wife was doing until cops showed up at my door with a warrant and took my wife away in cuffs and took 2 laptops as evidence. When I got the full story, I filed for divorce immediately. Aside from being a criminal, she was a good mom. She tried to justify what she did by saying she was just doing what was best for our kids, which I felt was total BS given that she never mentioned wanting for anything, and any time she asked to spend on something I almost always said yes. I hired a good lawyer and asked for full custody of my kids. My ex begged me not to do that, saying she needed her kids, but she was still looking at up to a year in jail, and nothing her lawyer said could sway the judge to grant her anything more than supervised visitation. She ended up doing 90 days in jail, paying some fines and restitution, but I've allowed her to see our sons almost every time she's asked. The last year has been total hell, but we've made it work. A few months ago, I was offered a much more lucrative position a few states away. I talked with my lawyer about what it would mean if I moved and what the process was. He said that since I have full custody, I have to file a petition with the court to move. So I told my wife what I wanted to do and she exploded. She claimed I was stealing her kids from her, that she's made a lot of strides to get herself to a better place, and that she would fight me tooth and nail for her kids. Well, I filed the petition, got the go-ahead from the courts, and accepted the job. When the judge gave his ruling, my wife burst into tears and began sobbing. It was heartbreaking. I know in my head that I'm doing the right thing for my sons. They are young enough that a move like this won't be too traumatic, but I also feel like their lives have already been completely overturned and I'm just adding more to that. As for my wife, she's a wreck. She's been begging me to reconsider the move, trying everything from guilt trips, manipulation, bargaining. It's like she's going through the stages of grief. But from my point of view, she did this to herself. She lied and broke the law. I have very little sympathy for her. I know at some point she will probably try to file for partial custody, and I'm prepared for that. For now, I'm just trying to do what's best for me and my sons. Does that make me an idiot? Edit. Thank you to everyone who commented, even the ones who called me a heartless for taking my sons away from their mother. This post has given me a lot of perspective, and I appreciate that. A couple things I want to clear up that I keep getting asked about that I wasn't able to include in my original post. 1. The area my sons and I live in is a smaller community. Not everyone knows everyone. Small, but close. The crime my ex committed was news here. It was in the paper. People know about it. I get weird looks when I'm out in public. People have stopped inviting my sons to birthday parties. I don't want my sons to be bullied and teased in school about their mother being a criminal. 2. I am not going to permanently alienate my sons from their mother. I will make sure they are able to talk and FaceTime with her whenever they want. I will be the one who makes the drive back in order for them to see her until she is able to make arrangements to allow her to do so. I will continue to work with my ex to make sure she is included in things like birthdays and holidays. 3. I know my sons and I will all need therapy from this. There is not good mental health help available where my previous job was. My new job offers on-site childcare, and I will have access to counseling and therapy for myself and my sons that we would not have access to without moving. The schools near my new job are head and shoulders above the ones near my previous job. 4. If my ex gets her life back on track and is able to move closer to us, I'm all for it. If she does the things she needs to do in order to petition for shared custody, I don't intend on fighting her for that. But until she does that, I will not allow her anything more than the supervised visits ruled by the court. I will also not ask for any of the court-ordered child support. We won't need it. 5. To all the people who screamed, "But she's their mother!" Yes, and she always will be. And I remind my sons daily that their mom loves them very much, and that she wishes she can be with them like before. I am angry and resentful of my wife, but I work very, very hard to not let any of those feelings impact my sons and their relationship with their mom. Now for a few comments before the update. This is tough. The divorce and getting full custody? Fully deserved. Not the idiot on that account. Moving to another part of the country where she'll have no contact with them? I'm not so sold on this. I think that you're still in pain and resent her, and rightfully so, but I'm not sure this is the best you can do regarding your children's relationship with their mother. Does she have any possibility of getting a job? Of moving? Or is she a financial mess as well, and what are her living conditions like now? Have you gone to therapy? Let me be clear, she did what she did and she's been held accountable for it. You've got a right to move from a legal perspective. But moving, when you know she can't do the same, will massively screw her relationship with your children, and it will only lead to more anger, resentment, and pain. The original poster responded with, I don't know her full financial situation. I know she's working a couple part-time jobs and has a small 2-BR apartment. Whether or not she could move, I don't know. She's under probation, so she'd need to apply to move anyway. My new job pays over twice what my previous job did. It's a huge opportunity for me to provide a better life for my sons. I don't want to sit around here and wait for my ex to get her poop together. Comment 2. Y'all know this begging for a gender reverse situation. Holy poop, people are actually calling him the idiot. Hope he is. Not the idiot. Please, all you moms out there need to let go of your biases. Now for the update. I got a lot of people asking for an update on this situation, and since a few things have changed, I figured I would go for it. I did end up taking the new job and moved with my sons. We have been settling into our new lives quite nicely over the last month, and things have been going really well. My sons love the new house. They have made friends with some other kids their age in the neighborhood. My job has been going really well, and I really couldn't have hoped for things to go better than they have. I got both of my sons into a great therapy program, and the 3 of us have also been doing counseling sessions together. My boys have been adjusting amazingly well, and I'm so happy and proud of how they've handled this. We've also made 2 trips back to see their mother, since she is still in the process of figuring out what she will be allowed to do in relation to her probation. We've also been doing many video calls a week with her. My sons still don't understand why their mom isn't here with us, but they do seem to grasp that this is going to be their new normal. In comparison with how well myself and my sons are adjusting, my ex is the complete opposite. She is still very angry with me and thinks I'm a complete a-hole. She's frustrated with the process of going through the courts to be allowed to move. She's frustrated that I'm not willing to drive our sons back to see her as often as she'd like. She feels she's being marginalized in their lives and that I am pulling them away from her. When she was complaining about all of this during our last visit, I reminded her that all of those things are consequences of her own actions, and she blew up at me by saying I am kicking her when she's already down, and I didn't need to take her sons away from her. I told her how well our sons are doing and how happy they are, and she should be proud of how strong and resilient they've been. She then started begging me to please move back so that she can be closer, because she's not sure the courts will allow her to move and the process is taking too long. I told her that wasn't going to happen, but if there is anything I can do with the court process, that I would be willing to help if I can. I reminded her that I haven't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support, but that our boys seem to be in a much better place already, and I'm not going to take that away from them. Every time we have a video call with her, as soon as she says goodbye to our son, she starts asking me to consider moving back home. I tell her every time that it is not happening. I'm not a robot, and I do feel bad to see her so desperate and distraught. But when I look at my sons playing and laughing with their new friends, I know I've done the right thing no matter the cost. To my ex, comment 1. You have to stop justifying yourself to her, man. I get it. She's your former partner, the mother of your kids, and she deserves a chance to redeem herself and be a part of her kids' lives. But she's taking no responsibility for her own actions. She hasn't shown a single consideration for what might be best for you or the children. She's only sorry for putting herself in an undesirable situation. Every time you engage her in this, you're giving her more opportunities to guilt trip you and convince you to make an emotion-based decision that might not actually be what's objectively best for you and the kids. At this point, there's nothing you can say to make her see the light. She has to figure it out for herself. Stop entertaining these conversations with her. They accomplish nothing except leaving you feeling guilty and emotionally distraught. Comment 2. I think you also need to insist she get therapy. Perhaps tell her if she continues to beg and plead for you to move, calls will be reduced as a consequence. I think you've bent over backwards to help her, and she just doesn't want to take responsibility. She needs consequences. Am I the idiot for telling my mom that I can't and won't help her rebuild a relationship with her son? I, female 35, was raised in a family that honestly is pretty messed up. Reputation and wealth always comes first for everyone, and well, perfection is the only answer. I'm not even joking, lol. I have a brother, Oliver 19M. Everyone adored him, and he was definitely favored growing up, but he's been through some poop that caused him to act out a lot. My mom had enough of his behavior and kicked him out when he was 16. He's been staying with me for the past 3 years. While living with me, he managed to get his act together as I put him in therapy to help him, and I kind of realized that the whole perfection thing my family drilled into our brains is kind of what was causing him to deteriorate so much. He goes to a good university, is in a sports team, and even has a part-time job. His mental health is still a work in progress, and he does have bad days, but we're working on it. I'm proud of him in all honesty. Anyways, my parents were aware that Oliver was with me but only contacted him a couple times in the past years. I would say I get it because of how stressful it's been, but I don't. That's your son, for fuck's sake. Well, a few months ago, my parents decided to divorce, which was good for them. Should have happened years ago, but whatever. Ever since, my mom has been trying to convince me to let her talk to / hang out with Oliver. This extreme switch up isn't good for him as he relies on stability a lot, and I told this to her. She started crying when I did and said that she's his mother. I kind of rolled my eyes and said something like, "What a great mom," sarcastically, and she cried even harder. She said she was sorry for kicking him out, but she just didn't know how to deal with a problem child anymore. It wasn't her fault, etc. I didn't think she was really getting my point, as I'm more annoyed by the whole perfection bullshit she never shut up about, even though I have problems with that, but I let her rant. Then I told her straight up that I wouldn't and couldn't help her with Oliver until he said he was ready, even then if I'd encourage him, and that she needs to live with her decisions. She practically called me an idiot and said she was his mom, not me, but I just ignored her. It's been a while now and I haven't heard from her, and I feel a little guilty. What right do I have to keep a mom away from her precious son is kind of what's been going on in my head. It's what she said as well. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. She kicked him out when he was a minor. What the hell? And it's very likely that, even if she has good intentions, she will take out the current crisis she is going through in her life on her son, and or use him as an emotional support pillar when he is still trying to rebuild his mental health. Also, can she not contact him herself? Why is she putting you in the middle? Comment 2, not the idiot. You keep protecting Oliver. She is not sorry if she can't even admit what she did wrong and is still calling him a problem child. She is getting a divorce and not looking to rebuild a bond. She is looking to displace her emotions and for something to cling onto. She needs to take time to herself, go get counseling, and honestly, if y'all let her back in her first visits with him, need to be in a family counseling office with a therapist who will tell her what's what and not let her run him over. Now for the update. Okay, so I'm just going to get right to it. After all of your reassurances that I was doing the right thing, which I was really doubting, I called my mother and told her that my decision is final and she is not allowed to contact my brother until and unless he / his therapist is okay with it. She cried her heart out, and it almost made me sad, but I can't bring myself to feel bad for her anymore. I'm just so tired of her. She messages me twice a day still, but I haven't replied to a single text. I would tell her to frick off, but I'm dealing with unrelated family issues, so I can't do that right now. As for Oliver, the last week has been a bit of a struggle. Nothing super related to my mother, but that's the thing with mental health. Even the slightest thing can be a trigger. But we're working on it. Like I said in my last post, stability is the main thing that's helping him. It's why having our mom visit would be a very bad idea. She'd turn his world upside down very quickly and throw him off our schedule. Due to circumstances, he's still in the early stages of recovery and is still not mentally / emotionally ready to meet our mom, who is a huge trigger. I don't think I mentioned my daughter, but she's currently watching Frozen while I'm writing this, and the only thing on my mind is, do you want to build a snowman? So I'm sorry if I'm not wording this properly. But yeah, I know for many the answer may have seemed obvious, but sometimes I feel as if I'm overstepping because although I love my brother, I'm not his mom. Might as well be, but that's a whole other thing. One more final thing I wanted to add. Why am I making decisions for him? He's an adult, right? Yes, technically, but because of his mental health problems, he does not have the same grown mindset as others his age. It's one of the reasons he's in therapy. Anyways, to the people DMing me for an update, nothing much happened, but I assure you, Oliver is my top priority right now. Thanks for worrying about him though. Comment 1. Just reading the original, she lost her right to be his mother when she chose kicking him out because I didn't know how to handle a problem child, over actively trying to figure out what she can do to help. You may not be his mom, but at least you took responsibility, and didn't give up on him. Comment 2. You're doing the right thing, and I hope your mom doesn't come up with the idea to have a surprise visit at your home. Not sure if she knows where you live or not, particularly with your current family issues and Oliver still needing continuous stability and therapy. If she still insists that Oliver is a problem child, she may still treat him like one. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not giving my mom a key to my girlfriend and I's place? I, 25M, have been dating my girlfriend Lacey, 24F, for 6 years. We met when she was a freshman because she became friends with one of my close friends, and I was enamored with her immediately after seeing her. After a couple of years of saving, we decided we wanted to take the next step and buy a house together. Nothing big, just like an apartment or a townhouse. With the help of Lacey's father, we purchased a townhouse a month ago. Now for some background, that led to my decision not to give my mom a key. My mother has never liked Lacey. There was and is always a complaint. Her dyed hair, her revealing clothes, her clothing style, her facial piercings, her tattoos, etc. The most recent complaint is that Lacey only works a few part-time hours while I work full-time. Lacey is a PhD neuroscience student, but even if she wasn't a student, it's not her business how our dynamic works. If she can't act amicably towards my other half, who has been nothing but kind to her, then I don't want her having access because I know she will intrude. On to the issue. 2 weeks ago, we held a housewarming party for our parents after we were mostly settled in. After dinner, while we were all drinking coffee in the living room, my mom asked me when she would be getting an emergency key. I told her we gave it to our friends because they are closest. That's a lie, we gave one to Lacey's parents. She got upset, saying emergency keys are for family only and she needs one. I told her she didn't need one, and if something happened, my friends had access. I could tell it upset her, but she stopped. The next day I got a call from her, and when I answered, she was wailing, saying she knew Lacey was up to this. I told her it was both of our decisions to give the key to our friends, and that Lacey isn't an evil villain conspiring against her. She then switched to anger, saying I can't cover for her all the time, to which I hung up. Ever since I have been getting guilt-trippy texts from my mother and my father about me breaking her heart because I'm shutting her out. Am I the idiot? Is it really that bad she does not have a key? Edit/update. Well, I took the advice of the comments. I texted my mom something along the lines of, "No, you will not be getting a key, and that is my decision alone based on your treatment of Lacey through our entire relationship. I do not want to make her feel unwelcome in a home that she also owns. You and I both know that you will go snooping and show up uninvited, and I will not tolerate that. You need to let go of this competition between you and Lacey because I will always choose Lacey. But much longer. I'm getting chewed out, but the alternative is my girlfriend and I being walked all over. So. Update 2. I tried to talk to my dad about it since my mom is just on an angry rampage. No luck. My mother has escalated to calling/texting Lacey to insult her, so I'm just blocking them both for now. I sent my mom a final text letting her know I was disappointed that she couldn't consider anyone else's feelings but hers, and if I decided to reach out again it would be on my time, and that I wouldn't hesitate to reblock if she spoke to Lace like that again. Now for a few comments before another update. Not the idiot, but please no. You would be an idiot if you gave your mother a key at this point. Adult temper tantrums like this are unacceptable, and your boundary is beyond reasonable. I hope it's clear to you, but it's very clear to me that this has nothing to do with an emergency key, and everything to do with your mom being unable to get what she wants. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your mother is doing an excellent job of demonstrating why you should never give her a key under any circumstances. In fact, you should probably warn building security about her, in case she tries to go around you, because there is no damn way she's worried about emergencies, and not either digging up dirt on Lacey or simply making her feel unwelcome in her own home. Now for the update. To say that this month has been a poop show is an understatement. I really didn't think I would need to update beyond the ones on my original post, but here we are. As per my original post, I and my partner have been struggling with my mom crossing boundaries and more specifically badgering me for a key to our new home. I got a message on Facebook from my uncle around 2-ish weeks ago that my mother was in tears, couldn't sleep, and was a mess. He said that she has tried to contact me, but since I blocked her on everything it wasn't possible. She wanted to invite us over for an apology dinner. Later, when Lacey returned home from work, I showed her the texts and told her that it is up to her whether we go or not, as she is the one who was wronged by my mom. Lacey told me since it was my mother she wanted to give her another chance, but if my mom did something like this ever again she was done. I unblocked my mom, and we talked and set up dinner at her place. When we first arrived everything was fine. My mom was being respectful and halfway through dinner gave a sincere apology to Lacey. Lacey responded that she appreciated and accepted her apology. My mom's face went sour, and she asked, "Are you also not going to apologize to me?" Lacey said that she had nothing to apologize for. For some reason, this triggered a massive meltdown on my mom's end. She started screaming incoherently that this is what she was talking about, and she was tired of seeing my son be with a she-devil. Lacey got up, thanked them for the meal, and walked out. I quickly followed behind her as my mom stormed after us shouting insults with my dad trying to stop her, attracting the attention of her other neighbors who now think she's probably crazy. So as the comments originally suggested, we are back at square one with them blocked most likely indefinitely. I would love to leave my dad unblocked, but I know he'd let my mom contact me. Thank you to everyone who commented. I truly wish I could have provided a more happy update. Edit. Some of your comments about my dad have made me a lot more worried about what he's possibly dealing with at home. I'm going to talk to Lacey to see if she's comfortable with me reaching out for my dad alone at his work email, since I know it's less likely for my mom to have access to that. Small update. Lacey does want to move forward and attempt to just contact my dad. As some of you in the comments may have read, Lacey loved my dad a lot. They were close and blocking him has really upset her. I'm just really hoping he does the right thing. Comment 1. Sorry you didn't get a better resolution. Hopefully your dad will come to realize that the only way he can have a relationship with you is if he respects the boundaries you have set for your mom. Congrats on the new house and your solid loving relationship with Lacey. Comment 2. Wow, just wow. As a mom, my middle son gave me a key to their home, but I have never used it to walk in unannounced. When we would go over to drop off packages, I would open the door, put the packages inside to the right and relock their door. Also, I would text both of them before doing that. One time my grandson's school called me for an emergency pickup because my son and daughter-in-law were unable to pick him up. My grandson on the way back needed to use the bathroom, so I headed to their house. But texted both that we would be going into their house and why. Afterwards we headed to my house until one of them could pick him up. We live 40 minutes away from their house. Now, for the next story. Would I be the idiot if I kept my dad's dog against my girlfriend's wishes? I, male 32, and my girlfriend Ellen, female 33, have been together for 2 years, 7 months, and have been living in the same my house for 8 months. The issue in question arose when my dad, male 58, gave me his dog Mila, 6F. She was a rescue, so we don't know her exact age. Before I had even met Ellen, I made a promise with my dad to take Mila in if he couldn't care for her, which is something I discussed with Ellen before she even moved in, and she had no complaints then. My dad fell ill 4 months ago, and of course I took Mila in. He is not getting better, so he asked me to officially adopt her, and I agreed. Ellen was furious that I made this decision without consulting her, despite me having told her about the arrangement in the past. Although I feed, walk, groom and manage all of Mila's needs, financially and otherwise, Ellen said she had to put her foot down on this issue. I asked Ellen if there were any specific reasons she was so opposed us keeping Mila, and she stated the following. 1. She said that since she works from home full-time, whereas I'm closer to 50-50ths, that I can't understand how much having a dog around affects her work. She makes clay art, crockery, that sort of thing. 2. Having a dog is expensive, and it will be a drain on our finances, which are not joined, I'll note, and I've paid for everything so far. 3. It will make it more difficult for us if we ever want to have a child. 4. Our house is not huge, so it doesn't make sense to have a big dog like Mila. 5. She has friends who have severe dog hair allergies, and she doesn't want them to feel they can't visit anymore. None of her complaints had anything to do with any bad behavior. Mila does not jump on people or furniture, bite, bark at visitors. She will follow commands to leave a room if they're given to her, etc. I see that these are reasonable objections to not taking Mila in, but I stayed firm in my position. Ellen said that if I loved her, I would make other arrangements, and at this stage I was getting a bit angry, so what I said next may have been a little harsh. I told her, "Love has nothing to do with this. My first responsibilities are my dad and Mila, and nothing you say will convince me to send her away. If you seriously can't cope with that, you can get out of my home." Ellen burst into tears at this and left to go stay with her mom, citing that I clearly need time to think this over. A bunch of her friends who know me have been telling me that I'm a total AH for prioritizing a dog over my girlfriend of nearly 3 years. But my own friends have been telling me to stand my ground. Ellen has been radio silent, has not come home, and is not responding to my texts. So I guess I'm looking for some unbiased opinions on the matter. Would I be the idiot if I kept Mila? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. You made a commitment to your dad, and you're honoring it. She should have some more empathy for the situation. I'd get a new girlfriend before I got rid of that dog. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You clearly communicated the plan prior to her ever moving in. On top of that, does she consider the reason you're taking in the dog the illness of your father? It's pretty inconsiderate for her to make this situation about her when you're doing a solid for your sick dad. If you already had a dog before she moved in, would she not have moved in? Would she have told you to give up your dog? I don't think so. Now for the update. So I guess it's customary to give an update on these things, and since a few people started following me after my previous post, I figured I ought to finish the story. It's only been a few days, but a lot has happened. Ellen finally agreed to meet up earlier today. Ironically, though people were telling me to break up with her, she beat me to the punch. We talked over coffees for a few hours, and what many of you suggested was true. Her real reason for not wanting to keep Mila was separate from all of the ones she offered me. She said that she thinks I've just changed too much since we got her, and when I asked what she meant, she stated that I'm less passionate and engaged with her than before. I don't really know if I can do anything with that, whether it's to do with the stress of my father's condition or not, but she basically said I'm not the person she fell in love with anymore. She's packing up her things even as I type this. It's hard in a way I can't describe, like all of a sudden I'm losing all of the people I love. But I also know that I can't control her decision to leave if that's what she wants. In brighter news, Mila is doing well. Some of you were concerned that Ellen might spirit her away, but she's still very much around. I brought her to the hospital park area to see my dad, and she was over the moon to be with him again. So I'll probably keep that up as long as he's able. I've also taken up the recommendations to find a doggy daycare for the days I'm in the office. I'll start dropping her off there next week, and if all goes well, I'm sure she'll make plenty of friends. There isn't much else to say, other than thank you. There's been an enormous amount of love and support coming from this subreddit. People were sending dozens of heartfelt messages. I even had to turn my phone off because all the notifications were too much of a distraction at work. I wanted to let you know all your kind words mean so much to me, even if I felt a little too awkward to respond to most of the messages. It's a strange and difficult time all around for Mila and I, but we'll try and navigate it as best we can. That's all, I suppose. Thank you for your time. Comment 1. So basically, she's blaming the dog when it sounds to me like her real issue is a stunning lack of empathy for the fact that it sounds like you are losing your dad, which, as someone who is going through something similar with an aging parent, I'm so sorry, OP. Seriously, though, this is not about a dog. This sounds a lot like her expecting you to put her before literally everything, even when she didn't object to what you told her before she moved in. And even when she knows you are losing your dad and Mila is a part of your dad. As much as it hurts right now, honestly, she's showing you who she is. She is showing you that she isn't up for any kind of flexibility when things get hard or sad. I know it's hard now, but in the end, think about things like having kids with her, and so on. If she thinks the dog is disruptive and reduces direct engagement and passion, just wait until she has a kid. And no, becoming a parent doesn't mean you are no longer an individual with wants and needs. But it does mean that you have to be flexible and willing to reprioritize at times. Comment 2. So she never thought that maybe you're currently not passionate and engaged because you're losing your father? I know this hurts, but you will be much better in the long run without this selfish partner. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time. Am I the idiot for telling my wife it was a mistake to stay at a baby shower? So my wife, female 26, and I, male 28, have been married for a year and began trying to conceive in September. No luck so far, but the doctor did say at our first appointment that it typically takes close to a year for most couples to conceive. She's been telling people that she's infertile, which isn't true. The doctor said she isn't. My wife and I went to my work Christmas party in mid-December, where my wife met my coworker's wife, let's call her Mary, and they took a liking to each other. Mary was pregnant and invited my wife to her baby shower, which was yesterday, and my wife sounded excited to go. I asked her when we were alone if she thinks she'll be fine. I know my wife and I know what typically bothers her. I knew she wouldn't bask in happiness over someone else's pregnancy, so I urged her to think it through. She said she's fine and she was excited, so she went. The baby shower was yesterday. About 40 minutes in, she calls me and asks me to come. I was at a cafe nearby because I knew she wouldn't stay long. I find her at the entrance of the house crying and a bunch of women consoling her. When she saw me, she came to me and pulled me to the garden to talk. She said she was dancing and looked at Mary's pregnant belly and couldn't take it anymore, started crying and ran out. All of Mary's friends followed her out to console her. I consoled her myself and said, "Okay, let's go, babe. Where do you want to go? We can go for a drive so you can feel better." She looked at me weird and asked why she would leave. I asked why she would stay. She said she feels better now and can go have a good time. I sighed and said, "Babe, you know that's not going to happen. And I doubt the attention will be on Mary after this, and that's not great. It's her baby shower, and she deserves to be celebrated. I can't see how people are going to shift their focus from consoling you to celebrating her if you're still there." She rolled her eyes at me and said she was going back in and that I could leave. 3 hours later, the party was nearing its end, so I went back to pick her up. My coworker and I stepped into the house, and lo and behold, everyone was sitting in a circle with my wife being the center of attention. Coworker looked for his wife, and she wasn't there at all. He called her, and she said she had left ages ago. My wife and I entered the car, and I first asked her how she was feeling, and we spoke about it for a few minutes. I then asked her what happened and why Mary left. She said, "Oh crap, Mary. I forgot to say bye to her." I told her Mary left ages ago. I then said, "I know you're going through a hard time, but why on earth would you and her friends do this? If they consoled you for a few minutes, that's fine, but the entire party? We really should have left earlier." She looked at me so offended and said, "Are you Mary's husband or mine?" We stared at each other for a while and just drove home in silence. I told her I wanted to talk to her this morning to sort things out, but she ignored me and left the house. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your wife turned someone else's celebration into her own pity party, to the point that the guest of honor left her own shower and didn't realize she did anything wrong? Do you really want to have a child with a woman like that? Comment 2. Not the idiot, but your wife is. Sounds like she's quite enjoying the attention her infertility gets her. I feel very sorry for Mary. Your wife should apologize, then get some professional help. Now for the update. So I texted my coworker, let's call him Frank, and asked if we could talk, so we met up during our lunch break. I apologized for everything that happened. He kept telling me it's fine and being so nice about it, and that kind of made me feel worse. He said he had booked Mary a ticket back home for a week and that her sisters and friends were going to surprise her with another baby shower. I asked if he'd mind my wife and I paying the expenses of the baby shower they were going to throw. He laughed and said no way, but that he appreciated it. We went back and forth a bit, but he eventually said he'd ask his sister-in-law how much she spends on everything and then would let me know, and we can pay half of it. I spoke to my wife when I got home from work. She apologized for ignoring me and said she doesn't know why she behaves like this. She said she is embarrassed, and she can't bring herself to come to terms with how she behaved. We also spoke about the infertility thing. She said she thought her saying it out loud and discussing it with people would make it easier for her if she found out she was actually infertile, because she would have already come to terms with it. I don't get it, but hey, at least she didn't dodge accountability this time and did acknowledge that it's wrong and she needs to stop. It's slightly worrying to me how she sounds like a completely new person so often lately. Almost like there are multiple versions of her who don't know each other. I said I'm glad she now realizes it's wrong, and asked her to send flowers or something with an apology note to Mary's house. I also mentioned that I offered to pay for the next baby shower, and she told me to insist that SHE pays it all and not half. I said I'm fine with splitting it. She also said she would bake a cake and go to Mary personally to apologize. I told her Mary is leaving town for a week, so that we'll have to wait till she gets back, but she did send a lengthy text with a sincere, in my opinion, text. Mary responded saying my wife didn't need to apologize and that she understands what happened, and thanked her for attending her baby shower. Mary also apologized for leaving without saying goodbye to my wife and the rest of the guests. You see how nice Mary and Frank are? Jesus Christ. We decided on both individual and couples therapy soon. Anyone know if it's okay to do them simultaneously? She wants to, but I'm not sure it's a great idea. It was a given that we would stop trying for a baby, so that's definitely on hold for now. So yeah, that's it for now, I guess. I've never been to therapy and neither has she, so I'm hoping this is the beginning of our relationship getting much healthier, and our individual growth as well. Thank you so much to everyone who responded. My mind is blown by how many of you did. Hope you all have a great year. Comment 1. Did not expect that kind of update after the first post. I mean, your wife acknowledging she is behaving badly after being so unhinged. So there might be some hope there. Comment 2. Give Frank and Mary some space. My guess is that while they are being nice, what they really want is to forget about what happened, so reach out to Frank on your own about paying for the shower. But suggest your wife give Mary some space at least until after the baby is born. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my wife she shouldn't go to a wedding without me? My wife and I have been married for about 10 years. Over that time, we've been to over a dozen weddings of our respective friends and family. The invitations have always been addressed to both of us as a married couple. Many times I've gone to her friends' weddings where I only know 1 or 2 people, and she's been in the same situation with my friends' weddings. We've always made new acquaintances and had great times. Last month she received a wedding invitation from an old high school friend. The problem is that it was addressed to only her and didn't mention me or a +1. We know that this friend knows we're married as they attended our wedding. We thought this was an oversight, so she called her friends and was told that they had a huge list of people and had to cut down the list, and I didn't make the cut. I've never heard of one married partner being invited to a wedding without the other. I asked my large group of friends and family, and no one has ever heard of such a thing. The other part that makes me feel uncomfortable is that the wedding is in her home state, so she'll be flying back there alone. Lastly, 3 of her exes will be in attendance because they used to be part of the same friends group. 1 from HS and 2 from college. I know I'm sounding very possessive, but I promise I'm not. My wife sometimes goes out with her girlfriends and has even gone on a couple of girls-only vacations, and I've never had a problem before. However, I find this entire situation to be weird. Last night, as she was looking for her airline ticket, I told her I was uncomfortable with her going without me. She said I wouldn't have fun as I won't know anyone there, and that she'll be busy catching up with old friends. Then I suggested I come back to that state and go fishing with her father, as he and I usually take a fishing trip once a year together. She shut that idea down immediately and said I should stay home and relax. I don't know if it was because I was already uneasy with the trip, but it felt like she didn't want me anywhere near the state. After some back and forth, I told her I am very uncomfortable with the entire thing, and that started a heated discussion where I ended it by telling her she shouldn't go, and if she does this will cause a deep rift between us. I've never said those words before, so I'm unsure if I'm an H right now. There's no updates, so here's the comments. So, you don't want her to go to a wedding and see her friends because she dated some of the people there more than a decade ago? You don't even want her to be in a different state without you being in the vicinity? But you're not being possessive. You're the idiot. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Yeah, it was rude for the couple not to invite you. But you're using it as an excuse to be extremely weird and controlling. She's not trying to keep you away from the state. She's trying to prevent you from following her to this wedding like she's a teenager and you're her chaperone. Just stop. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for yelling at my husband because he scared me? A bit of background: I am terrified of fire. I've had traumatic experiences when I was a child and cannot go near them. I am going to therapy, but it's a long healing process. This does mean that there are certain things that annoy my husband, like when we decided to buy a house. I asked if we could get an electric stove or replace the gas one. It annoyed him, but he accepted. Other things like I have to stand far away when he's having a barbecue also annoy him, which is completely understandably irritating, but I can't change it. One night, I just finished making dinner and went to give him a back hug, arms wrapped around his shoulders kind of hug, and he instantly pulls out a lighter from his pocket and holds it close to me. I freak out and try to get away from the lighter. When he finally puts it away, I yell at him, and I'm crying, asking him why he thought that was a good idea. He told me that he heard of exposure therapy and he was sick of my antics. When he comes near me again, I yell at him to stay back and run out of the room, locking myself in the bedroom. It's only when I'm alone that I break down crying. In the morning he won't talk to me, saying that he was only trying to help, and yelling at him made him feel like poop. I wonder if I overreacted. So Reddit, am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, he shouldn't be testing out his exposure therapy ideas unless he's trained to do so and you consent. He was an AH. You can't help your immediate response to what he did, and if he feels like poop, good, he should. What he did wasn't okay. Comment 2, not the idiot. I am not afraid of fire. I would be afraid if someone lit a lighter and held it close to me for no discernible reason. Your husband is being an ass in more ways than one. He did something wildly inappropriate, you had a completely reasonable reaction, and he felt guilty. Now he's blaming you for the discomfort that guilt is causing. Now for the update. He still wasn't talking to me after 3 days, so I confronted my husband. I told him that I hoped that he really meant the best, but it actually made me lose trust in him. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to trust him for a little while. He brushed it off, rolling his eyes and saying it wasn't that big of a deal. I simply replied that it was a big deal for me and I know that my trauma may be annoying to him. But that didn't give him the right to do that. Afterwards, he reluctantly agreed when I asked for marriage counseling. I told my psychologist about what he did and she was horrified and suggested marriage therapy. Unfortunately, each time it was time for our appointment, he would make some kind of excuse not to go. He was staying late at work, there were no groceries, so he had to go shopping, and I grew frustrated. I asked him if he really wanted to make things work, and he didn't answer straight away. He said that he was only trying to help, and by making him seem like a bully that I didn't appreciate him and all the things he had to accommodate for my antics. That was the last straw. I placed my wedding ring on the table and left. So now I'm staying at a friend's house and I'm in contact with a lawyer. I'm forever thankful to you, Reddit, for all your kind words. I don't know what to do at the moment as he has set my progress back a lot, but I think eventually I'll be okay. And now, I'm surrounded by people who care about me and don't think of my trauma as annoying. Comment 1. You might feel like he set your progress back with fire, but you must also recognize that by standing your ground and standing up for yourself, that's huge personal growth. It's a difficult thing for anyone to do, and you did it. Comment 2. He could just I apologize. Frankly, he doesn't give a crap about your feelings and your mental health. Therapy would be a good start, but he refused that option. You deserve to be loved, and your fear is understandable, and you deserve a supportive partner. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.